to join the Unplugged firmware beta program. This is open to anybody that has an unplugged phone. However, I do not recommend that you do this if you're using it as your daily driver. Yours truly is not, therefore I can. And I would love I will report back. I might even clip this part out. So this next part is actually more like a recording session because I'm going to clip this out and make it its own clip to post across the video platforms. So it shows you how to join the firmware beta program. So for those of you that are interested, you do have to be signed into the device. I found out about this after I wiped the phone. So after I wiped the phone, I didn't sign in. I tried to get to the beta program. I couldn't because you needed to update the firmware apps. Well, all of the apps in order to get access to this. So I needed to sign back into the phone. And I will show you the aftermath of having wiped the phone and then joining the firmware beta program. So then that's how you do it, and what to expect from the beta program. Beta program updates are designed to be stable but may still carry a small risk of certain features not functioning as intended. By opting into the beta program, you agree to take the risk in exchange for early access to new developments. Okay, so the beta updates, they are stable. The release candidate updates. So there's two of them. There's beta updates and the release candidate. These are near final builds, typically released a few days before the upcoming official hardware. They represent a very stable version, and unless critical issues are found, they're expected to transition to the public release seamlessly. I am testing the beta updates, okay? So I'm going to the more, if it has bugs, whatever. Let me see it. Let me test it. So the important notes for beta participants, no rollback options. So the beta firmware updates generally cannot be rolled back to a previous version. Future updates, beta firmware will always be eligible for an upgrade to the next official firmware release. And the automatic updates, the automatic firmware update check in the firmware manager only checks for official firmware updates. To install beta or RC updates, you'll need to check manually through the beta menu. All right, so why join in? Experience new features and enhancements before anyone else, play a vital role in shaping the unplugged phone's future, collaborate with a community of passionate and early adopters. So I could tell you that, yes, I want to help shape up the future. I do intend to support them even beyond that. I'd like to see what else they do, because they, like I told them, you guys have earned my trust, and they're always welcome to come on my show. So I've been talking to Ryan, and who knows, Aaron, if you want to come back on, I haven't officially invited you yet, but hey, you're always welcome to come on, right? And I'm sure we had a blast last time, so we could do that again. All right, so let me stop sharing this. I'm gonna put a different background now because we're gonna do. I think we're gonna do this. Alrighty, so here we go. I'm gonna try to stay in frame for this one. Okay, make it like this. You bring it up. I'm gonna try to do this a little quicker, because there's not really much to show without doing a deep dive. Okay, so the unplugged phone, and I will clarify a couple of things that I mentioned in my long-term review that I said I was going to clarify. I will still clarify them. So for those of you still watching, thank you for your patience. I'm just checking to make sure that no one else chiming in the live chat. Alrighty, this is the new wallpaper. I gotta tell you, I like the look. I even told them, like, man, that is a nice wallpaper. To which someone on X chimed in, you have access to future builds? To which I said, yes, I do. So let me give a shout out to the proper, I'm going to give the shout out to the proper attributes there. Okay, so let me start off by telling you what's here and what isn't. So let me see. Will it do it? No? Okay. All right. I'm going to go to settings. This is something that I mentioned in my long-term review that actually already existed on a September firmware update, and that's always on display. So I'm going to clarify what I meant about the always on display. I did put it in the video description of the long-term review, but I'm assuming not many people actually check the description down below. But always on display, it should be able to work now. There it is. Always on display, and the numbers, letterings bounce in different places of the screen. The thing about the always on display that I meant to say dynamic always on display. So what dynamic means, if you're not familiar with it, it's what Apple is doing with it. It's where you can actually use the screen, but like instead, if you have a 120 megahertz screen refresh rate, It could drop it all the way down to 1 to save on battery, but you get to like put pictures and things on the front of the screen. That's what I meant about always on display. This was already a thing since September of 2024. So what all I meant to say was to be able to do more with it, to be able to like, well, have more usability of the always on display. And it would, it would hit the battery, but with those that can. All right, let me see. And I want to give a shout out to you. Brought this up. Um, Oh, by the way, go check out my interview with Jeff Dornick at Pickaxe. That was a great conversation. So this was from Trump Train Hobo. So, are you getting early updates for Unplugged phone? It's all caps, by the way. And I said, yes, I'm enrolled in their firmware beta testing program. Okay, so shout out to you. So you could see, I was just buying some time so you could see the numbers kind of bounce around. So this is the clock and the date. That's what you could see on the always on display. Okay. And let me close out the other stuff so I don't be distracted. Okay, now let's proceed. What does this have that I wanted to see? I said I want to double tap to wake. So, where is it? It's here now. That's in the beta. Double tap to wake. So I was right. It is a software update. It works and doesn't work. Hence, for why it's beta. I've been able to get it to work. Something that doesn't work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the lift to wake and I'm going to turn on tap to wake. So lift to wake means that the screen will turn on as soon as I pull up the phone. Tap to wake is meant to wake up with a literal double tap. So there's the always on display, double tap, voila. So it doesn't play nice when I have lift to wake. Let me see if I could duplicate it. So right now, there's the always on display, double tap. Hey, it worked this time. So it's beta because it doesn't always work. Sometimes it doesn't know if it wants me to tap to wake or lift to wake, so it doesn't do either of them. But right now in front of the camera, because I'm toggling the switches on and off, it worked. But as soon as you just get going with the device, either or will not work. Hence why it's beta. But I am collecting data about this to be able to share with the team over there because I love what you're doing. Just these two features alone, the tap to wake, lift to wake, and of course, clarifying that always on display is there. I can tell you that this feels like a complete package now. So when the phone gets out to the software gets out to stable release, and they do release it, people buying the phone once that software is available are getting basically a more full experience that I've come to expect whenever I'm out there buying a phone, because these little things, well, that's what I got so used to using over the years that when I double tap and it's not waking up, or listen to wake and it wasn't waking up, or always on display. These are features that were introduced over time, but the beta introduces the tap to wake feature that I so wanted to, because I don't have to pick up the phone when it's right there. Just double tap, it's sitting there, voila. I don't have to do anymore. So that's all to say that for the past year, since I got on this phone, that it's felt like a work in progress. It feels like the more polished experience. And this is what we wanted to see from Unplugged Phone. And for those of you that have been very patient with this product, you've been part of this journey. Because I too have not liked being part of a pilot project, only to be disappointed by the lack of support. Looking at you, Microsoft, with the Surface Duo and everything Windows Phone related. But that's not the case here with Unplugged. They poured love, sweat, and tears into this, and I could see the fruits of their labor and what they've been able to do. Now, I need to call this out, though. I want to highlight one thing. This is a completely wiped phone. I had to sign in to my account in order to be able to get the firmware. Let's see if there's a firmware update. Let me see. Where is the firmware button? Right there. Let's see. Do we have an update? No updates found. Okay, well, it says I gotta go to the beta updates. So where would that be? Huh. Is it this? There we go. Warning. These settings are... I have to reactivate the beta. So you got to tap the Unplugged logo multiple times. I understand the risks. So release beta. I want beta. So I didn't realize that I had to do this again after I did all the updates. So let's do this. Check for updates. Are there any? No. So there's no other beta update at the moment. And okay, cool. Let me see. Do I got to do that every time though? Yeah. So I have to tap here on the logo, and you get the warning if you're part of the beta. And you have the latest firmware manager update. So that's how you check for the beta release. That's the one I want. And you could do a local install if you actually are part of the developer team and you have the software. You can sideload it, which I think would be faster because I gotta tell you, it took like is it 3 to 5 hours just to get this thing on beta? I hope you guys can fix that, yo, because that took forever. But anyway, um, one of the things I said I wanted to highlight is it wiped the phone when I did the self destruct, right? You guys all saw it. I played the video. And for those of you still watching YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, thank you. But here's what it didn't erase. And I didn't see an option anywhere that says that you want to delete the SD card too. So when I pulled this back up, I'm like, wait, why do I have pictures in here? So there they are. They were on the SD card, so they didn't wipe. I made sure to unload all that first before doing the self destruct. So those pictures were on the camera and through the camera app were stored on the SD card because I had set that way so I wouldn't use up the onboard storage. And right there, you saw that it's still there. So I'm sure they're working on that and they'll clarify it. So for the team over at Unplugged, if you're watching this, which I believe you might be, we need that addressed because that's still a security concern. If you're using your SD card, if you're sideloading your documents, your pictures, your other stuff over there, and if they take this thing apart, like, oh, you wiped the memory, then they pull out the SD card, they'll still be able to get it. So just a big fat advisory warning there. It doesn't erase the SD card. So I might try that again. I might try the self-destruct and see if it works a little different with the beta program. I just gotta do the whole function. Let's go to privacy center. Let me see. Do I have to unlock it? Yeah, I unlock it. Okay, privacy center. Guess I have to unlock it. There it is. So I have to unlock to get to self-destruct. So in order to do that, you activate it, then you got to build all these other codes. You need to have the screen lock on it first, and then you'll be able to do the second pin to be able to erase it all. But I didn't find any option here at the time that lets you wipe the SD card. And I'll look through my video again when I did it because I don't remember seeing that as an option. So team, please make note of that because people are using SD cards like I was on this thing.